In the heart of London, where the cobblestone streets met the shadows of history and the whispers of countless lives, there lived a young and strikingly handsome British policeman named Edward Collins, whose tall frame, calm eyes, and ever-present sense of duty earned him both admiration and envy. Yet beneath the polished uniform and the graceful smile lay a heart that believed in justice, not as a rigid law, but as a living principle of compassion, fairness, and integrity. And though many of his colleagues wore their authority as armor, Edward carried his as a responsibility, never forgetting that every badge shines only as brightly as the kindness and courage of the one who wears it. His days were filled with ordinary duties, directing traffic, patrolling neighborhoods, helping lost tourists, calming heated arguments. But it was the extraordinary way he performed these small tasks that defined him. For when a boy stole bread from a shop, he did not drag him to a cell, but instead walked him to a cafe, bought him a warm meal, and discovered the boy's family had been struggling without support, leading Edward to connect them with local charities, showing the community that true justice heals rather than punishes. And when an elderly woman was too afraid to cross a busy road, he did not merely stop the cars, but walked her across with a gentle arm, listening to her stories of wartime Britain, giving her the dignity of being heard. His reputation grew, and soon people began to see him not just as an officer of the law, but as a guardian of humanity. Yet Edward himself faced struggles, for crime did not vanish in the light of his smile, and corruption lurked even within the walls of the police station, where senior officers sometimes turned a blind eye to bribes or dismissed the complaints of the poor. But Edward, refusing to bow to silence, reported what he saw, knowing it might cost him promotions or friends, and indeed, whispers of disloyalty spread against him. Yet he stood firm, believing that integrity is measured not by comfort, but by sacrifice. One fateful evening, during a heavy rainstorm, Edward encountered a situation that would define his legacy forever, for a car had skidded on the wet road and crashed near the Thames, with flames licking the bonnet and cries echoing from within, and while bystanders hesitated, Edward rushed forward without thought of self, smashing the window, pulling two children out, then going back again and again until even the unconscious driver was freed, moments before the car exploded in a fiery blast, leaving Edward burned and bruised yet alive. And when the newspapers hailed him as a hero, he humbly said that any life saved was worth every scar, reminding all who listened that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that another's life matters more than your own. In the years that followed, Edward continued to serve, mentoring younger officers, teaching them that the uniform is not a symbol of power, but of trust, that a policeman's greatest weapon is not his baton or his badge, but his honesty, empathy, and willingness to listen. And though he aged and silver streaked his once dark hair, his presence still brought reassurance to the community, until one winter morning, long after his retirement, the townspeople gathered in the square to honor him, not with grand medals or speeches, but with the simple testimony of lives he had touched. The boy who had once stolen bread, now a teacher; the elderly woman's granddaughter, now a nurse; the children he rescued, grown into kind adults. And as Edward, frail but smiling, listened to their gratitude, he realized that the truest reward of his life was not recognition, but the knowledge that goodness creates ripples, spreading silently across time. The moral of Edward Collins's journey was clear, that true beauty lies not in outward appearance but in the nobility of actions, that integrity may be tested but never wasted, and that the handsomest face a policeman or any person can wear is not one shaped by genetics, but by courage, compassion, and an unwavering devotion to justice that heals rather than harms, a legacy that outlives the fleeting charm of youth and endures in the hearts of those who remember kindness long after the uniform is hung away.